You have to edit what I just said? Or?
I'm gonna have to edit out, yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Jordan and welcome back to Jordy is Reading. Happy 4th of July. Some crazy things have been going on this past couple weeks. My car decided to die, so that was fun. So that's why I've kind of been absent, but I have the next 3 videos lined up for you guys, so you should be good to go. But in this video, I wanted to go over what I read in June. June was a much better month for me reading wise. I don't know why. May was just kind of blah. So yeah, I read a lot more in June. So let's go over what I read in June. So I finished the Sabata here and Ember in the Ashes series. I had actually started this in May, I believe, and finished, I think, the last 2 books in June. But there are 4 books in this series. There's An Ember in the Ashes, A Torch Against the Night, A Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. In my opinion, the first book in this series is the best book so far, or by far. It kind of gets, I wouldn't say worse, but it gets less interesting the more you read through the series. The first book is my favorite, An Ember in the Ashes. But this series follows Laia, Elias, and Helene, or Bloodstrike, through their journey of escape and trying to get Laia's brother back. There's just a lot that goes into that. A lot of things in the last book, well, the second to last and the last book, almost made me hate certain characters. But then again, it made me really, really like other characters that I didn't like before. Laia and Elias just kind of got on my nerves at the end. In the beginning, I really enjoyed Elias's character, but once you get to the end, it's kind of like, you're annoying. I don't like you. I don't like you a lot. In book 3, which book 3 is A Reaper at the Gates, I really started to like Helene. And I feel like she really got the character growth that she deserved in the 3rd and 4th book. I feel like she matured more than anyone else did. Not necessarily matured, but she grew up more than everyone else did. And I really like that about her. As a whole, this series is good, but it's not, oh my god, I love it, you have to go read it kind of thing. It's hard to explain the entire series without giving a lot of context away to you guys. But if you enjoy anything by Sarah J. Maas, you will like this series. It's a multiple points of views, but the female lead, who is Laia, is definitely the real hero in this series. But if you like Sarah J. Maas, you'll like this book. Go check it out. Alright. The next book I read was House of Holo by Crystal Sutherland. And I'm going to be honest, I am only reading this book, or I only read this book because the cover was gorgeous. Very, very pretty. I knew nothing about this book going in, which in a way was good and bad. I started to read this book, and then once I got to the middle and end, I felt very let down. Very frustrated. I expected, once I started reading, I expected so much more from this. So much more. But this book follows the 3 sisters. There's Gray, Vivi, and Iris. So this book is told from the point of view of Iris, who is the youngest sister. It's pretty much like a Brothers Grimm fairy tale almost, in a way. But it's got like a modern kick to it. So it's like a modern take on the Brothers Grimm, pretty much. The sisters are very, very weird. Very weird. When they were really young, they were kidnapped. They went missing for like an entire month. They were gone. And then one day, just poof, they showed back up. They had no memory of what had happened to him. They had no memory of what had happened to them. Their hair started turning gray. Their eyes started changing colors. At this point, I mean, like, if your kid is, if their eyes are turning black and their hair is turning gray, no. You lost them again. Just go on. Bye. But they grow up with their mom. Their dad actually hung himself soon after they reappeared. Nobody really knows why. Nobody really understands. But two of the sisters have a lot to hide. Gray and Vivi have a lot to hide. Iris grows up, I mean, she's the perfect child. She's straight A student, you know, she does whatever her mom tells her to do. She is great, but she's still in high school. While they're in this perfect kind of fantasy world, Iris's sister, oldest sister Gray, goes missing, and her mom's like, no, you cannot go look for her. You can't have anything to do with her. She's not a part of us anymore. You need to just let it go. And Iris is like, no girl, that's my sister. I'm gonna go look for her. Why are you acting like this? Like you're our mom. So it kind of develops from there. They're not the only ones looking for Gray. Other people are looking for Gray. They discover, along this journey of looking for Gray, they discover a lot of things about themselves and about what happened when they disappeared. I was not the biggest fan of this book through, like, the first couple of chapters were okay. The middle was completely boring. There was action, but there wasn't action, if that makes any sense. It was boring. The epilogue was amazing. The epilogue was my favorite part of this entire book, and that's pretty sad. Why couldn't that? I wanted the same energy that I had in the epilogue to come through the entire book. It only came out in the epilogue, and that was pretty frustrating. But if you enjoy like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, you will enjoy this book a lot. I'm not really sure if Crystal Sutherland is going to make this a duology. I would love for this to be a duology and to pull in the same energy that the epilogue had from House of Holo. But yeah, no, that was House of Holo. Like I said, if you like the Brothers Grimm fairy tales, then you will like House of Holo. It was okay. Like I said, I expected a lot more from it. Once I started reading, I expected more. But it was okay. The next book I read, I Found You by Lisa Jewell. I love Lisa Jewell. I love her books. Just the other day, bought like 3 more of her books. Which is horrible because if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I already have a TBR jar that is so full. But if you don't follow me on TikTok, I will link it down below. And while you're there, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. That'd be great. Thanks! But I love Lisa Jewell. And mystery is my jam. I like mysteries, I like thrillers. But this book has 3 different points of view. Alice is a single mom of 3. One day, she lives in this little tiny village on the ocean. One day, she looks out her window and she sees a man randomly sitting on the beach. She's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. But she goes back like 4 hours later, looks out the same window. It's like pouring down rain. He is still sitting there. And for some reason, she just feels in her heart she needs to go out there and be like, hey, yo, what are you doing? Why are you sitting out here? So she goes to introduce herself to this man, make sure he's alright, whatever. And come to find out this man has no memory of who he is, how he got there, why he is there. He has no idea. They name him Frank. He has no idea what his name is. They decide to name him Frank. So Alice finds it her mission to help this man find out who he is, help him rediscover who he is pretty much, and maybe a little bit more along the way, you never know, right? And then there is Lily. She's a newlywed Ukrainian woman living in London with her husband. They just moved there. She knows no one. She knows She doesn't have a job, so she doesn't like get to go out and view the city and know what's going on pretty much. He has a job. One day he doesn't come home from work. So she goes to the police and tries to help find her husband. She tells them, hey, yo, he's gone. This isn't normal. He always comes home. He always calls me, whatever, you know. But the police come back to her and tell her that she has no idea who her husband is at all and that he doesn't really exist. And so Lily's like, oh, no. He loves me. He would come home. I know what I'm talking about. So Lily goes on a mission to figure out what the heck is going on. Then there is a point of view of Gray, which is a flashback to 23 years ago. Gray's on holiday with his parents and his sister Christy. They meet a young man who is staying with his aunt for the summer because his uncle just died and his aunt was feeling really lonely. So he decided to stay with her. But he soon becomes attached to Christy, and Gray has like these really weird feelings about him. And it's not just like brother, like, hey, stop hitting on my sister kind of thing. It's more of like a deep dread. It starts to kind of get out of control in the flashback, which all leads us all back to this here in the future. All of the stories from Lily's point of view, Frank, Alice, Gray, they all connect to one another in some weird way. They all mesh, if that makes sense. I really enjoyed this book. I expected Alice's past, because she kind of talks about Alice's past a little bit, but not as much as I thought. I expected her past to make a much bigger impact on the things happening today. But for some reason, it didn't really come up again, and I was kind of confused by that. But I enjoyed this book a lot. I really like mysteries, and I really like the whodunit kind of thing going on, and I don't know, I just like that for some reason. But if you're a big fan of authors like Lucy Foley, Paula Hawkins, who I will talk about again in this video, or Ruth Ware. Did I say Ruth Ware? Lucy Foley, Paula Hawkins, or Ruth Ware, then you will like this book. This was I Found You by Lisa Jewell. The next book I read, well, actually I didn't read this book, was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So I originally had checked this book out from the library. I had seen great reviews about it. I was like, yes, I'm going to read this book. I'm going to read this book. I got like 5 chapters in, and I realized that Jim Dale actually did the audiobook. And if you don't know, Jim Dale did he did one version of the audiobooks for Harry Potter. Chef's kiss. Jim Dale is amazing. If you've never read an audiobook that is narrated by Jim Dale, I highly suggest you do. He's great. I love him so much. So once I realized that he did The Night Circus, I returned my book and checked out the audiobook on my Libby app. Le Cirque des Rêves, a circus that arrives without warning and is only open at night. The Night Circus has several different POVs, and it jumps around a lot in time. But the main premise is that there is a game going on between 2 people. No one around them is aware, and they themselves do not know who their competitor is. Some of the characters are Celia, who is the daughter of a famous illusionist, Marco, an orphan who grew up with a strange man in a gray suit, Isabel, a random fortune teller that Marco is involved with, Chandresh, Christophe Lefebvre, who is the one who kind of thinks up the idea of the circus. There's Sukiko, a contortionist for the circus who knows more about what's going on than she actually lets on. Poppet and Widget, they are twins born to parents who work at the circus, and they have sort of magical gifts. Bailey Clark, a young man who is more important than you might think. Herr Friedrich Thiessen, he's a German clockmaker who creates a clock for the circus and begins to correspond with Celia and help her create some new ideas for the circus. He also creates the rêveurs, I believe they're called, who are people who are fascinated or entranced by the circus, and they will literally follow it to wherever it goes. No one knows where the circus is going to end up next. It just pops into existence the next day. There are several other characters that I don't really care to mention, but this story bounces around a lot, and at some points it was hard to follow. Celia and Marco are the main characters in this book pretty much, but like I said, there are so many other points of views that it's hard to really call them main characters when really they get the same amount of attention as everyone else does. So this book is in its entirety is a main character, if that makes sense. This book, like I said, really jumps around a lot, and I still don't really understand the point of the game to begin with, and I think you're not meant to understand it. That wasn't the prerogative of this book. But I thought the book was okay. I thought it was good. I liked the way Jim Dale narrated it. It wasn't my favorite of the month. If I had the opportunity, I probably wouldn't read it again. Like I said, it just jumped too much for me. But if you like, let's see, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, I believe it's called, then you'll probably like this book. A lot of magic going on in there. The next book I read, or finished reading, I had actually started this book in January and just now finished it. I don't know why. I just wasn't into it in January. But the next book I read was Steel Striker by Marie Lu. I love anything by Marie Lu. She has written some of my favorite series. Legend, The Young Elites, which, fun fact, was the first series I had ever cried over since Harry Potter. And I read Harry Potter in high school. I read The Young Elites like 3-4 years ago. Yeah. She also wrote Warcross Duology. For some reason, this book did not hit the spot for me. Obviously, I started it in January and I just finished it in June. I don't know. This is the second book in the Sky Hunter duology. It follows a young girl named Talon. She can't speak. She uses sign language to communicate with her family and friends, which I thought was so cool. I've never really seen a book that portrays sign language, or I haven't read a book that portrays sign language, so I thought that was really cool. Steel Striker picks up a little while after Sky Hunter leaves off, so there's kind of like a gap there, but you get filled in on what's been going on. Big things have changed about Talon and her mom in this book. She is no longer with Red and her friends. She's actually in enemy territory, so yeah, she's got to find a way to get out of there, but she also can't because of other crazy thing that's been going on. I can't tell you because that would be a spoiler. But this book was very, very slow for me. I feel like if Marie Lu tried a little bit harder, she could have made this duology into a standalone. She could have fit everything important from the second book into the first book, and it would have been fine. It was necessary because of the big points, but the big points were so few and far between that they could have been put into the first book. I really, really, really liked the first book, but I don't know, I didn't enjoy this at all. It was slow, there wasn't enough action, there wasn't really enough of anything in this book. But if you enjoy anything else by Marie Lu, you would like this duology. If you've ever read Warcross duology, it kind of gave me the same vibes. The second book wasn't as great as the first book. I really enjoyed the first book of Warcross, but the second book, for some reason, just didn't hit the spot. That's the same vibes I'm getting from this duology. That was Steel Striker by Marie Lu. The final book I read was A Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. So this book, like the Lisa Jewell book, has different points of views. But it all starts when a young man is murdered on a houseboat. It sort of follows the women in his life or that are kind of loosely connected to him. There is Miriam, the woman who lives in the houseboat near him. She actually discovered his body. She's weird. And I really expected her to be the one that I kind of loved at the end. I expected her to grow a little bit more. Character-wise, it doesn't. The book starts and ends with her point of view. Then there is Carla, who is the dead guy's aunt. She has a ton of secrets and a ton of grief that she hasn't been really able to deal with about her past. It involves her nephew and her husband and things like that. Then we have Laura, who is the dead guy's one-night stand. I kind of connected to Laura's character, not from personal experiences, but my youngest son actually had a traumatic brain injury. Not really to the extent of Laura, but it was pretty bad. So I can kind of understand Laura, if that makes sense. I thought Laura deserved a lot better ending than the one she got, but the ending that she did get was so much better than the beginning that she had. So I was glad for that. All of these characters, they're pretty broken. They're pretty messed up. I actually had a friend write a review of this on Goodreads, and she put it into okay words. A story of broken people and their broken relationships. I know broken from experience, but these people are so way far gone from being broken. They're just a big jumble of crazy. This book is a big jumble of crazy. Everything tied together at the end, but then again, nothing tied together at all. If that makes any sense. I don't know. It was a big jumble of crazy. I really enjoy Paula Hawkins, and this book will not deter me from reading anything else she writes, but this book just wasn't it for me. If you like Ruth Ware or Alex Michaelides, who wrote The Maidens, then you would probably enjoy Paula Hawkins. But yeah, that's everything I read in the month of June. The month of July, I am pulling all of my books from my TBR list. And like I said, if you're not following me on TikTok or Instagram, I will link them down below. While you're there, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. July is fully going to be from my TBR jar. I am picking them out at random, and we are reading them. Right now, I am reading Pretty Little Liars. That was the very first book I pulled out of my TBR jar. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm not a fan of it so far, but literally just started it not too long ago. So, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I've already got the next few videos lined up for you guys. That way, I won't be missing anymore. I will be here. You don't have to worry about it. And then, at the end of July, we are going on vacation. So, I am going to, while we're there, I'm going to try to vlog again. I don't know if you guys like the vlog, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. It was really fun for me to do. It really kind of got me out of my comfort zone. So I'm going to try it. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.